Good morning, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back again. Thank you so much for turning into the Merchant Services Slayers video. Today, guys, we're going to be doing some alternate videos other than just sales training. So we're working on those three pillars that we were talking about. Either lifestyle videos, kind of how to invest, how to use your money, so on and so forth. And then obviously on the other side, we're talking about free sales training on how to sell deals. So today we're going to talk about a very important topic, one that you're not going to get from a lot of, I would say, processing professionals, not a lot of advice. And the reason why is because of the fact that, we've been spending a lot of time traveling to Southeast Asia, doing different investments in South America, also abroad. And along the past 12 years, we've learned a lot about how to do business abroad. And it's definitely not like the United States. It's a little bit more challenging, a little bit more things that are involved. And some of you guys might say, well, why would I want to do that? Well, to be honest, it's really good to not only just be diversified in your investments and the different types of investments that you do invest in, but then also be invested in other places just in case stuff goes wrong. Now, again, remember, I'm not a legal advisor. So if you have any questions on anything and you want to talk to a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer. I am just giving our advice and what we've seen in the past couple years that, can actually help. So if you do make a decent amount of money, it's not bad, not only for your sake, your family's sake, to be diversified. There's a lot of different programs out there like CIB programs or citizenship by investment programs that will allow you not only to live and own land in other countries if you have multiple passports, but that is definitely one of the things of the wealthy that a lot of people don't understand or know about, that it's good to be diversified not only in citizenships, but investments, not only just investments in one country. Okay, so we're going to talk about today 5 different tips of things that we've seen doing investments, like for example, villas in Bali. Okay, it's a big one that we do. We do hotels, we do real estate in other countries too. We do land investments, and we also buy businesses. Okay, owning equity is a super big and important way to build wealth, and it all starts and is funded by processing. So it's important to understand those things. So first off, real quick, point number 1 before I get too drawn out into this is that research is king. When you're dealing with other countries, there's a lot of different laws that you need to really focus in on, especially geared towards foreigners. So a few different things and resources that you're definitely going to want to first start down that path is spend some time on YouTube, looking through YouTube, okay, going through some different things and videos and getting different perspectives. That's going to help you formulate an idea. Then obviously go to Google and do some research. Now, stuff on Google and the internet might not be up to date as well on some of these programs and stuff or investments. So then what you do want to use is ChatGPT. Go in there from September 2021 all the way back. You'll at least have some sort of idea of that investment, what it'll return, and so on and so forth. But you need to spend a lot of time researching the investment that you would like to look into, whether it's hotels or whether it's even buying a single property. Even owning a second home can be a really good investment. Also, you want to look up, like if you're renting, for example, Airbnb laws are different in each country. Whether you can own land in certain spots, or if you can't own the land, or if you can actually own a condo or an apartment, so on and so forth with real estate. Can you rent that apartment if you do own it? What are the local laws? Do some research on all of that before you plan the next step. And step number 2 is going to be you need to visit. There are a lot of citizenship by investment programs that give you citizenship if you work with a local lawyer, so on and so forth, where you can fly there. Sorry, you don't necessarily need to fly there to get that. Well, there's a lot of scam companies out there and also good companies out there that will allow you to invest into certain properties, real estate, or projects without you actually physically visiting the country. That's one thing we do not recommend. I would highly recommend you have to visit that location if you can, and pick a location you plan on maybe spending time on. So if you want to spend time in Asia, you go to Thailand with your family, so on and so forth, or Bali if you like to come with friends or whatever, but make sure you're investing in a country that you're going to spend time in. That's one thing that we've kind of learned over the course of this is super important. That brings us to number 3. Okay, it's always good to not only just visit, but try and get to know a local, right, that you might trust, right? And that's always saved us in the past in many different situations. Working internationally, it's important to work with a local. Now, this has to be a local you've known for a while. It's good to build up trust or make a very small investment first. That'll allow you to spend more time there, then get to know the local. It'll help you with a lot of pitfalls and the issues later. Okay, so that's super important. And that brings me to point number 4. So sorry for this long-winded video, but these are super important tips and tricks that if you are going to look to invest abroad. Again, if you have any questions on this, guys, please feel free to DM us or send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. Just ask us and we'll give you the answer. But number 4 is you need to understand the difference between real and fake legal situations. Okay, you have to first grasp when you're an expat or an international traveler or investor that things do not work the same way they work in the States. When you get a jaywalking ticket, if it's by the books legally, even if it's in the constitution of that country or on paper, for example, it might not be that way, okay? And I'm not gonna allude to anything, but it's important to understand that you can't expect your investment, or you can't expect your situation to be by the books exactly like the United States. Now, I'm not saying that you should be afraid of that. What I'm trying to say is that you should be well aware of that. You need to make sure that you do talk with the locals, find out how things are processed. Things might be processed extremely legally by the books and on paper, but might not be done on time if you do it that way, right? So again, I'm not here to offer legal advice, no by means, but you need to make sure that you understand is that going into an investment might take longer than you think. There is the way that it's said, and maybe it might be different the other way. There's a time period that you might have in mind, and it's going to be different. So just be aware of that, and it's okay to ask. The biggest thing with this is that it's not going to be like the US, but if you have a local friend that will give you the right kind of advice, or even a local lawyer, they'll be able to give you, say, look, we're going to say it's going to happen here, but this is when it might happen. So that way you can plan accordingly. Then finally, the very last thing is you need to understand this. This is a big thing too. So you start a company, you start a business, you acquire a chain of restaurants outside the United States, you acquire this, you acquire that, you do a hotel. You need to look at the exit laws. So that's point number 5. A lot of investors don't do this. They'll get to the point where they'll go 5 years deep into an investment, do very well, and realize that the country does not allow you to exit that money without charging you a massive amount of tax. And that tax is actually equated to the profit, therefore they didn't really make any money in the first place. It looks great on paper, but they have to keep investing back into the country. Now there's a lot of different ways that people say that you can circumvent this, and you want to be very careful, because a lot of that can be very illegal, and it can also be money laundering. So it's important to not only research those laws before you get yourself into that mess, or you could have millions of dollars locked up in a country that can only be spent in a country. That therefore leads us back to point 2, which you don't want to spend a lot of time with. This has been a big mistake with a lot of major companies that have came in and started cell phone carriers like Verizon or AT&T, or the local companies. They've came in and bought billions of dollars worth of business and realized that their money's stuck there. So it's important to understand the repercussions of those tax laws. And that again is why you need a local lawyer to make those investment ideas. So if you combine all these things, hopefully we encourage everybody, if you're making money in processing, to also look down south in Mexico, look north up in Canada, to not only just have investments in the United States, but it's also good to diversify and invest abroad. So hope those help. Rock and roll. We'll see you on the sales board.